Welcome to NRG this week. I am Oren Stewart, standing in for Leon Thomas, joining Mr. Mike Weiner. We have Lisa Freeman joining us this morning. It's going to be a great show. Stay tuned. You do not want to miss it. Once again, I'm Oren Stewart, standing in for Leon Thomas, joining Mike Weiner. Mike, come on in. Good morning to
Good
you. How are
morning,
you?
Orwin.
How are
Hey,
you this
buddy,
morning?
how are you? Good morning.
I'm doing well. I tell you something. We must have had a conversation before. Both have on red this morning, man.
You are. You got my memo, or did I
I
get
sure,
your memo?
I
I
got
don't
yours,
know, but
man. Yes,
the
sir.
memos got squared away. So yeah, we're both in bright red today, middle of the week.
We
Yep.
are. We are. Good morning to you. I tell you, we have a great episode today. Miss Lisa Freeman is joining us, so we have to bring her on in. Lisa, join us. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
We're doing well. Thank you for joining us this morning. Yes. So I'll tell you.
Since brand new with NRG, Orwin, and been with me probably about 3 months in the Winston-Salem, North Carolina group, which meets on Zoom every Friday morning at 8 a.m. She's been a great addition to the group, and I'm excited to have you here, Lisa. We this is live. We'll be putting it all over Facebook and LinkedIn, and it might even go in a time capsule to the future, but it'll be on the NRG website, and it's great to have you here. And I know Warren's going to talk with you a little bit, and then I'm going to chat with you, ask you some questions. But super excited. You're up early for us, and welcome today to NRG this week.
Thank you.
Yes,
Great
indeed.
to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. So I just have a
Welcome.
couple questions for you, and then you and Mike will talk. So to start off, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Lisa Freeman. I own a company called The Logical Balance here in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I'm an HR consultant that helps small businesses fill in the gap and mostly recruit for executive talent in engineering, IT, and finance.
All right, sounds good. And now, tell us also how you and Mike first met and how you got involved with NRG.
Well, I attend a group here called Action Coach, and I got introduced through Russell Dye, who said, you need to really join this group. They're progressive. They can help your business. I do recruit across the United States and Canada. And so being a part of this group has been great. And I'm just getting started to see what it can do as far as value.
Yes. Mike was telling me a little bit about you. He said it's amazing to have you on board since you've been here, and I think he mentioned about 3 months now. Does that sound about right?
Yes, that's about
Yes.
right.
That
Yeah.
sounds about right. He said things have been great since you've been on board. So Mike, come on back in, and the two of you all can chat for a minute.
Awesome, Warren. I appreciate it. And Lisa, it's great to have you here. I recently met Russell through Coach Bev, and Russell's now taken over the responsibilities of coming to the group. And he told me a little bit about you. I think he connected us with a three-way text intro, which I train everybody on. For our viewing audience, maybe in a minute or two, give kind of an overview on what you do, some of the benefits of working with someone like yourself. You're in an industry that has obviously changed a lot. And we don't always talk about this, but I know COVID's affected your business, and going on Zoom and being able to tap into NRG and my nationwide exposure. Give the viewing audience kind of a quick overview on a little bit about what you do and some of your services, if you would. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Yes, I work with a lot of different types of companies. My main focus is in engineering and IT and finance. I do mostly executive level search. I do support projects and contracts in those areas as well. And I don't have borders as far as NRG is a great connection for me because I work with companies that have multiple locations across the US and Canada. Um, I have been in the industry about 25 years, and mostly in my career, I've supported these verticals and have a broad knowledge in the engineering space, especially across mechanical, electrical, design, um, any types of manufacturing where special talent would be needed in those areas, as well as IT that crosses the lines in engineering in many spaces. I did work in the telecom industry for about 5 years, and so that is a space that also serves me well. The difference in my service and many is that I am an independent consultant. I do have a lot of resources, though, that work with me across the U.S. to support talent. And so I think that's an advantage. And being able to just be highly focused on challenging positions seems to be a niche I'm falling into.
No, I love it. I love it. It's a great answer. And one thing you don't know about me is I come from a family of engineers. Not me. My ex-wife was a chemical engineer. She graduated from University of Pitt. My older son Brandon was an engineer, computer science, and my younger one Lance just graduated 2 weeks ago from Virginia Tech. So it's like, God, from diapers to college, it's the years fly. I was talking with someone about that the other day, but the engineers, there's still lots of jobs out there. I know with COVID, a lot of things have transitioned and things are moving toward the home, but it sounds like you're in some verticals that are still very well needed. One of the questions I have for you, and I was talking to Orwin about this, when people first meet, you look at them and they look good, they smell good, how do you screen people out? And maybe just give one or two tips. Let's say you interview 7 people and you're going to send 3 there. What beside, the appearance of, professional and things like the obvious things, what are some of the discerning factors that you, Lisa, use to try and really figure out, is this going to be a good match? Because you and I know a lot of times things don't work out. The employer's this or employees that, and it's just the synergy's not there. But what are some factors that you personally use to try and get the right candidate in the right position?
Well, one thing that we have done in a lot of positions is we use assessments sometimes just to qualify technical skills, to measure that and give back to the client. We use also behavioral sometimes, and it's when it's in a sales role or a dynamic where he's going to be or she is going to be performing across a team. We look at not necessarily longevity in jobs, but how they transition their skills from one position to another and how that might have affected their performance over time and what would be most marketable for a position, depending on what we're trying to recruit into. References, at times we can get fairly good references from either coworkers or somebody they managed on a team or a project they accomplished. So there's some defining principles that I look for that a person might represent well based on what the requirements of the job would be.
I was going to kid with you and go, if all the references have the same last name and it's mom and dad and sister and brother,
No,
probably not real good references there, right? Kind of
right.
opinionated a little bit. So I normally do 3 questions. I'm so intrigued with what you're doing. I've got 2 more questions for you. What is your greatest satisfaction when you land somebody and you help them get into their next career? What is it? I'm really big on law of attraction. I talk about it at every meeting. And I that's how I live really. And it's changed my life about 8 years ago. What is it for Lisa Freeman when you place the right person and they come back to you a month later, 6 months later, and they're like, Lisa, I owe you everything. You got me hooked up at the right place. What does that satisfaction feel like for you? Because I know that's the stuff that drives us. When I connect someone networking and they land a new client through NRG, that excites me. That gets me fired up. So what gets you fired up about helping the right candidate out?
Well, what's kept me in this industry so many years, Mike, is the arbitration between the client and the candidate and making a successful experience and making sure that the candidate has a great experience in onboarding and finding the right job in the interview process and how we perform in communication, both in the beginning and to the end, and the follow-up. And I feel the same as with the client. Making sure that relationship and that experience with what we're providing in talent is a smooth transition and we meld well with their team and we're collaborative and can make a difference over time. So one of the things that I feel like I've accomplished in my career is being known for the loyalty and the longevity of people that I put in place. So I feel like that's been a great accomplishment. And I still mirror that in my career as a consultant to try to make sure the experience is something that people would come back to, because that's my best
Right.
referral.
Right. Now, I love that answer. I love that answer. You know, and my quick assessment of you, Linda, is you're very genuine, you're very sincere, you're very, you don't hear this word a lot anymore, conscientious. And I get that about you. Just short 3 months we worked together. Yeah, I've worked with thousands of people, and NRG's growing. I don't even know how I sleep at night. We had someone sign up online last night. It's going like bonkers. So, you know, if you were walking through, and I'm just kind of I make things up as I go, and that's part of the fun of what I do. If you're walking through a hotel lobby and you see someone that you haven't seen them in 5 years, and you find out what they do, and you know they're a good fit for NRG, and you got 2 minutes, 3 minutes to invite them to a meeting, what would you say to them? Because you know the Winston Group's growing. Holly just joined through John. Holly's got another visitor coming this week. I mean, we're adding almost one person a week now, which is it's one of the hottest groups I've got in the whole network. But what would you say to your friend or even someone new about NRG? You've been with me 3 months. It's a relatively short time. I feel like you've had some success already, and the best is yet to come. But what would you say to somebody taking a look at NRG that knows you or maybe doesn't know anything about NRG?
Well, I would say, Mike, that the connection is yet realized with what I can do with your resource, and that just from the day one, it's been incredible the knowledge base you have, the connections you can provide. The people that I have met in this group have been amazing, even if we're not the best connection for each other, we've already found other ways to collaborate and refer things to each other. So I feel like that I'm just on the edge of being able to use this resource and maximize it. So I would encourage someone who's looking to build their business to check it out. And to the investment is small, and I love the structure of these meetings is very efficient, and it produces results week over week. So there's not many that do that. So I really do appreciate that. On point, get to the point. Let's make something happen between two people, and be ready, because you will fire away with connections and referrals. And some of your people in this group, and I haven't visited other groups yet, but I'm going to. And they follow up, and it seems to be a very consistent workflow. And for an independent consultant, that's invaluable for me. I don't have a big team of people here helping me do that. So,
Yeah, I mean, we're basically your outsourced sales team. But no, I love your answer. I love your answer. And you know, when John Bennett joined, who's also in Winston, he's going to be on here, I think, in the next 2 weeks. And Holly's going to. I kind of made it Winston Salem month when I asked everybody, and you were the first. You were, to your credit, you were like, I want to be on there, and I'm like, great. So you know, it's we all work together. I would definitely encourage you to jump on some other groups. John's been on about 10 other groups already. And I run 35 a week, which it's
I
not
don't
an
know how
easy
you do
task.
it.
I mean,
I
it's
don't know how
it's
you do it.
daunting. And 2 nights ago, I fell right asleep, and last night I was seeing pinball, and that's how we do the system. And I was thinking about a million things. So, Orrin, we're gonna bring you back in, but Lisa, it's been great having you here. I'm glad I got to know a little more about you, and just thought I'd share with you. I don't know if it was easy, growing up with engineers and the ex-wife and all that. I mean, we all get along great, and we were talking about graduation, Orwin and I, a couple weeks ago, and I'm super proud of my youngest. He just graduated college, and my older one got his master's. And it's been great having you here. I'm going to turn it back over to Orwin. And Orwin, we've got some great people coming in the NRG. I told you,
You do.
an estate planning attorney. When I said, "Where did you find us?" She goes, "Google." I'm like, "Who's named Google and NRG?" I was just kidding with her, but that's the depth and breadth of NRG now. It's going viral, and I think, Lisa, that's the advantage of you going to other meetings, is that's where your business is going to go viral. It'll get way beyond Mike Weiner and Winston Salem. So, Orrin, I'm going to turn it back to you, buddy, and you can wrap this thing up and ask Lisa, whatever questions. And we're not supposed to talk football, but we love football
I
here.
was,
Oh,
I was,
come on.
I was coming right
Come
there
on,
to
Mike.
you. So that'll be my second question. I'll leave that one. But Lisa, if you could tell us one thing, that you've gained in the years and the experience that you've developed over the years, what would you say to now the other extended NRG groups that Mike is speaking about, that you could say, okay, when you listen into those groups or you tune into those groups, something that they can take from what it is that you've done and what it is that you do that will inspire more people to get on board?
This is a great way to showcase your talent, and it takes very little time. Just have to be on point about what you want to share
Okay.
and who your audience is and what your target might be as far as where you want to move your business. It's invaluable what will happen, and you need to be ready for the referrals because they will come.
Yes, yes, I agree. We all do agree. All righty, so Mike, come on back in and let's talk a little football. As you both were speaking, as well as with our other producer Jay backstage, but let's talk about a little bit about what you both were saying. I know Lisa, you were saying something about Cam Newton when he was once with you guys, and
No,
Mike,
yes, Mike brings up, well, isn't that the team that Cam Newton belonged to? And I said, why couldn't you talk about someone else possibly?
yes, yes, indeed,
uh,
Hmm.
like Greg Olson or Steve Smith or some of the greats of the team. Not
yeah,
that Cam didn't highlight; he had a highlight in our team in the early days, but
yeah.
we
It's a
need a
lot of good
team.
players. Yeah,
We
understood,
we need a team now.
understood. We say it's time. It's time for a new regime, right? So,
Right,
Mike, what is
it
it?
could be the year, Mike. So look out! Look out!
Yeah, yes,
You
indeed.
know what I mean? The Ravens, we've been dragged through a 2-year ordeal with Lamar Jackson, and they just signed him to $250 million. So, and it's a
That's
5-year
crazy.
deal. I mean, that's a lot of.
It's a lot of money.
I think about NRG is $750. How many members would I need to get to Lamar? I'm not going to get there. Even though I'm law of attraction, I'm not going to get there unless Lisa refers me to 1 million people tomorrow. But Cam Newton was one of the first quarterbacks, though, that was a running quarterback.
Yeah.
And he kind of opened it up. We had Michael Vick,
Hmm.
and I think the thing about Lamar that's going to be different is he's got a new offensive coordinator. We'll see what Odell Beckham can bring to the team. I
Right.
mean, is he washed up or does he have another run? I think he and Lamar have a certain chemistry. I know they showed them in a bar in Miami right after Lamar had signed the contract, hanging out. And I don't think people realize with football, they go out and they knock each other on their butts, but there's a lot of intelligence there. They've got a playbook. They've got to have these plays memorized. I know they just started mandatory training in Baltimore. I think it's on Monday, but I don't think the people realize how much it's not just knocking someone on their butt, or as we say in the Jewish term, tuchus, using a little
Right.
Yiddish here.
Right.
But there's a lot of mindset there, and
Yeah.
and it's a limited career. I mean, the
Yeah.
That's
average
true.
you know what NFL stands for? Not for long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ray Lewis played here 17, 18 years. Or when I think the average football player is 3 years, and that's
Yes. It's 5.
for
Yeah. 3 to 5.
three,
Hmm.
3 to 5. And I mean, Lisa, if I
Unless you're
went out
Tom
there,
Brady.
Yeah. Unless you're
Tom
Tom Brady,
Brady,
that's true.
Unless you're Tom Brady. Come on.
Yeah, Brady's an aberration. When he goes 17, 8, 20 years,
20
and
years.
that's
Yeah.
kind of like Cal Ripken with the Orioles had gone
Baseball.
about 20. But if I went out there and got a contract, Lisa, I'd be on injured reserve before the end of the practice. They would knock me out. They'd carry me away on a stretcher, and I'd go back to running NRG meetings. So, I can't throw a football. I can't throw a baseball. I'm 58 years old. There's no 58-year-old player playing
Oh,
sports. So
don't play
I
that
think I'm
card.
gonna
There's
stick to
some
what
out
I
here.
know best, networking.
Well,
But
networking is
no,
always good.
I wish your Panthers. You guys have only had them a few years. Maybe it's been 10 now. I don't know. It's been
It
longer than
is.
that.
It's been a little over 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when they first came there, and when I was in college, we lost the Colts. The Colts moved out to Indianapolis, and
Sure
that's
did.
probably why I never was a Peyton Manning fan because I could never get around them. And thank God the Ravens, the team came from Cleveland, but they did get their
Yeah.
team replaced pretty quickly.
They
So
did.
I don't really feel bad for Cleveland. They've got a team, we've got a team, and Lisa, if I get down to Winston, I'm going to come visit you and Coach Bev and Holly and
Yeah. We need
John.
to
And
get together and
like
have
I
a network meeting. Yeah, that would be great. There's several
Absolutely.
people in the Winston group that are local here, so we're going to try to get together too. So
No, that would be great. Or when I'm calling this Winston-Salem NRG month, because
I know you
the
were
next
mentioning it.
couple guests, it started with Lisa, and to her credit, when I said, "Hey, who wants to jump on?" and she's like, I'm there, I'm there." So, it's great to have you here, Lisa, and
appreciate the opportunity. Thank
Thank you for
you.
joining us, Lisa.
absolutely,
Yes, yes.
absolutely.
So, like Mike said, this is Winston-Salem month. 3 to 4 more guests coming in. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us this week here at NRG. This has been a great,
Thank
great
you.
interview. Yes, ma'am. And please continue to join us here at NRG each and every week, every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Take care.